Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific Northwest, from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The sweet, sweet Mariners, baby.
Lots going on, a lot of spring training hype. WBC is right around the corner, but what else is right around the corner is NFL free agency. Legal tampering period starts next week. We've already seen some big trades go down today with all pro former Husky Trent McDuffie getting traded to the Rams. So we're going to take a look at the Seahawks and look at some of their position groups and tell you if we think they're good or not. Some names to look at in free agency, potentially looking at the draft, and just kind of break down what free agency is going to look like for the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy who's got some new digs behind him, and if you forget who he is, don't worry. His name's right over the shoulder. It's right there. It's right there. It's me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy that feels like he got the old bait and switch, he had to switch his hat because he was baited into thinking this was going to be a Mariners episode.
Yep.
But boy, was he wrong. And good thing he had an extra hat. It's Kane.
Got a lot of hats. Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Falls. Do it, freaking do it.
And the reason that Kane was a little bait and switched is it's tough to talk Mariners this time of the year because I don't dive too deep into what happens during spring training.
Hmm.
Um, the hype train or people pump the brakes way too hard for small samples when guys are just figuring it out. Once we get a little bit closer, you get through the WBC, you get closer, we'll take a look at what that roster is going to look like. But with us on the precipice of NFL free agency, the Hawks have cap room. The Hawks have some assets. They don't have a ton of draft picks. Obviously, that can change. The Seahawks do like to trade back and get into that mode. But there's some key guys that are up for free agency. It'll be interesting whether they can bring them back or not. So we're going to dive into that a little bit today. We'll go position group by position group, and we'll start with the quarterback room. And you've got Sam Darnold. Obviously, you picked up his option. Drew Lock had signed a 2-year deal. You drafted Jalen Milroe last year.
Yeah, I think you're all right.
I don't think they're doing anything in I saw that there was like a 31 to 33 odds of 133 the Tua Tagovailoa would make his way up here. Like, no way, Jose. Not
Mm,
happening.
no.
No, I think they're set. But we get into the really spicy bit coming right around the corner there. And that's the running back room. So you got Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, poised to be a free agent. The other top free agent, Brees Hall, gets franchise tagged, which puts him north of 14 mil a year.
Shocked me that they franchise tagged him too.
Yeah.
Absolutely out of left field for me. I
So,
thought they didn't want him.
so that puts you at hands down. Kenneth Walker is the best back available. He is going to sign for a deal that is north of that franchise tag on the average. And I think that prices him out of
I
Seattle's.
mean, he gets priced closer to CMC and Saquon Barkley. It's just how the market has been trending. I mean, look at what happens when you pay it back, though. Look at the production that you get out of it.
True. And then you also have to look at it is Zach Charbonnet is going to be down for a chunk of the
Majority,
season. I
I
mean,
think majority of the year.
best case, you're getting him back about the halfway point. So realistically, you've got George Holani, who was a restricted free agent that uh, they're bringing back, and
Kenny McIntosh,
Kenny
if
McIntosh, who's had
his knee's
trouble staying
healthy.
healthy. So I think that you're going to look at one or most likely two running backs
Mhm.
coming into the fold here. And I'll let you kick it off. You had a fun name to start.
Oh yeah, I did. I was sitting there thinking the other day, um, and it was after the franchise tag because that's when it started circulating about how much K9's going to make, and it's not going to be with the Seahawks. Sorry to tell you. Uh,
Unfortunately,
I am looking at a max that they spent on a running back to be 12 mil a year, I guess. Um, but I did throw out Rico Dowdle, really good year in
last
Dallas, and then capped it off with another great year with the Panthers. It kind of seemed like he was the heartbeat of that offense because when he was doing well, things were looking good for him, right?
well,
And
and you had Chuba Hubbard that went down with injury.
exactly. So he got his time to kind of showcase him as RB1, and he was relatively good. I don't think he's going to be making top end money. He's still, I think, a tier jumped into tier two on the running back scale. Um, my biggest thing is I think he runs too much like Sharp. And if when Sharp gets back, pairing Sharp with Sharp, just I don't know if the match will work.
I think Dowdle has a little bit more sizzle than Sharp, a little bit
Sure.
more in the explosive plays. Um, Another guy that I have on the radar is a guy that reminds me an awful lot of Sharp, and it's Tyler Algier. I think that he's going to come in
You
at
you
a
know you
lesser
love
price
Tyler
point.
Algier.
I think he's going to come in at a lesser price point than
For
Rico Dowdle.
sure.
But when you look at how his team wants to do, they want to be committed to the run. And Tyler Algier has been part of a timeshare with one of the better young running backs in the league in Bijan Robinson. I don't think he's coming back to play second fiddle. This gives him the option to go to a team. I think you could sign him to a multi-year deal, see how Sharp bounces back because Sharp's going into a contract year. And I think that you could tailor this around a hard-nosed Tyler Algier
Sure.
because he's still relatively young and he averages over 4 yards carry and he gets those tough yards. He doesn't have the sizzle, but he is a consistent yard churner.
Yeah, no, like he's been good. I mean, you pick him up in fantasy almost every year.
Yeah. Well,
At least when
especially
he
if you
was,
have well, you have you
especially if he
have
was viable.
yeah, if you have Bijan Robinson, you have Tyler Algier there as your handcuff. But speaking of other guy that was kind of a handcuff and really kind of broke out this year, but being a little bit older, I think that it's going to open the door a little bit for him to find a new home. Kenneth Gainwell with the Steelers. He's
Yep.
right around 1,000 yards. He's proven he can tote the rock. He's a plus pass catcher out of the backfield. And
Wasn't he with
oh,
the Eagles for quite a stint?
yep, he was. So he's been around successful programs, right?
Hmm.
And he could slot right in. And and out of all these guys, I think Gainwell probably signs for the least amount of dollars.
I could see Mike just going, "That's our guy."
Oh, and
Like,
realistically, you could probably get a Tyler Algier and a Kenneth Gainwell, who are both used to being in a timeshare, if we're being completely honest, and they're both get their fair share of
oh yeah,
totes.
they're
I
gonna
think
get
you get both of
50-50.
them for less than the price that you would get on an average
and
per year of Kenneth Walker.
and then it truly allows you to ease Shard back into it because you still have George Holani and Kenny McIntosh. I mean, whatever. I love Kenny McIntosh. He's got the sizzle. It's just he's got to stay on the field.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to do that yet.
I
And
know it's frustrating.
your best ability is your availability.
Yes, yes. Is that all the running backs? Or you got any more up your sleeve?
I think they could look. at the draft as well. I'm not going to ponder too much because Seahawks don't have a lot of draft capital right now. You could also look. I mean, George Holani is going to be on this team. George Holani came as an undrafted guy. It's weird when you look at some of these running backs that go late that explode, right? You know, Chris Carson was one guy that was a late seventh rounder
God,
that just exploded, right? So
love Chris
you
Carson.
could see the Seahawks potentially trading like a future six to get back in the seventh to get a guy if needed. I don't
Hmm.
think they're going to spend early capital on it because I think there's bigger holes. And I
Yeah,
mean, the Seahawks have done a pretty good job of drafting running backs higher than the rest of the league under John Schneider. But
yeah.
I've seen a lot of pounding the table too for like Jonah Coleman in like the third round. And like I love Jonah Coleman and his time at Washington, but when they got to the meat and potatoes of the schedule, this year sucked because he was a little bit more banged up, but he would feast early on and against
He's
tougher
also
competition wasn't as great.
he's also banged up a
Well,
lot.
this year,
He was
not
banged
not
up
as much the
last
year
year
before.
too.
Not as much.
And then you look back at the year they went to the championship. He played through injury. He was brutalized
He
though
he
through that
was
run.
he was playing for the Arizona Wildcats that year.
The year they went to the national championship, he was banged up and playing through it. No,
He was with Jed Fish at Arizona. He came over with Jed Fish. Jed Fish was
did
not the coach when UW went to the national title game. It
did
was Kalen
they
DeBoer.
did they have a running back named Jonah Coleman?
No,
Oh,
not at all.
I thought that was their big running back when he was playing.
No, it was not.
Okay, okay, well,
So, with that smooth transition, let's go to the wide receiver room with a little bit
sorry.
more names we know. Um, Jake Bobo, Rashid Shaheed are on the open market. Obviously, I think the Seahawks would like to bring both of those guys back. I think Bobo is more realistic just because he's not going to sign for top dollar or anything like that. And Rashid Shaheed's been tough because the wide receiver free agency class is not great by any stretch of the imagination. And Shaheed is another guy that's going to get that bump from winning the Super Bowl, and his impact, especially in the return game, is going to probably lead to someone paying a little bit more than the Seahawks are willing to go.
I mean, I told you what I thought. It gives him a I had him pegged at 11.5 would be my max. It would be a 3-year, $35 million contract. It's a big step up from the 5 mil deal that he signed for this year with the Saints at the beginning of the year. Um, it's a payday that he probably won't get again. So yeah, I see. I mean, we talked about it before the episode that he's been put out there to make upwards to 18 plus. And
That's
I'm not wanting to pay that for wide receiver three, most likely, or and just I was giving him 11.5 for the punt returns as well.
yep.
So
Well, and you look at what's returning for the Hawks, right? You're assuming that an extension gets worked out with JSN. You've got Torrey Horton coming off of injury, but he was injured his last year in college, missed over half the year this year. There's some injury concerns there. You got Cooper Cup, who's not the youngest guy in the world, but they are going to need to address that position. If you're going to look at someone that is durable, hard nosed, and I think would fit the mentality, has a little bit of familiarity with your new offensive coordinator, it's Juwan Jennings,
yeah,
right?
I mean,
That dude
well,
is
what's
a
up, Cal?
tough, tough catch. He is a big yak guy. He's a big contested catch guy and
And
could fit
he kind of
seamlessly within this offense.
I think he's got the personality, the crazy to fit in, the determination, right? Like I think I said this, I don't know if it was to you or if it was to my coworker. I was like, he was Brandon Ayuk without the drama. You know what I mean? Like when Brandon Ayuk went down, they turned to Juwan Jennings, and he kind of exploded the year prior, and he was coming into it poised to be, wide receiver one this year because of all the Brandon Ayuk stuff, and he had a great year.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie. I just think that he is tough, and he is a tough matchup as well.
And I think that he's probably comes in around 10 to 12 a year.
Sure, dude, I'll take that on a 3-year deal. Hell yeah. But it's like not the it's like the animosity between the Niners and the Seahawks has gone down,
It,
in
it
recent
hasn't, but
years.
at the same time, you've got to look at it this way. There's so it's the not for long league unless you are a stalwart quarterback or a guy that is the face of your team, right?
Mm,
Yeah, when you're playing against them, you don't like them at all, right?
right.
But if they're going to give you the opportunity and pay you what you should get paid, I think that that goes out the door. I mean, some guys that we're going to talk about throughout this whole thing, right? Look at how many guys have gone back and forth between the Hawks and the Rams, the Hawks and the Niners, and the Hawks and the Cardinals, right? You can go
Mm.
down. Richard Sherman played for both. You've got Cooper Kupp played for both. If you want to go DJ Dallas with Arizona, right? There's a
Oh,
lot of
DJ
guys. Mike
Dallas.
Upati ends up playing for almost everyone in the division. So there's some of that back and forth. And Bobby Wagner, another big name, right? So I think that gets played up a lot. And unless you are the guy, and you even look at it this way, Brett Favre, face of the Packers, goes to the
Uh,
Jets for a year. Where does he finish his career? With the Vikings, biggest rival of the Packers.
Sacrilege almost.
So I don't play into the that side of it as much. But what I do play into is going to the tight end room where we think that they are a okay.
Yeah, I don't think they need to make any additions.
I mean, you've got Arroyo that came back at the end of the year. AJ Barner had a little bit more of a breakout year, and they already extended Saubert. I don't think that you really need to look outside of that. There's some fun options with ties to the area. Um, Will Disley, you brought up before the pod. Kate Otten is a guy that I think you could get at a discount. There's some fun names out there, but I don't think that they are going to look at the tight end room this year.
No, if they're blocking, it's going to be Saubert and Barner out there, and Barner's going to dazzle with the catches this year, I think.
So we'll jump to the offensive line, and we'll knock this one out of the park real quick. Josh Jones should come back. I think that
100%.
bring him back on a similar type deal, being that emergency
Ooh,
tackle, played very well.
just give
Uh,
him a little bit more of a pay bump.
yeah, a little bit, or you could potentially go same or maybe less and give him 2 years.
Sure.
There's options, but I think there's one spot along the offensive line that we would all love to see change, and that is the right guard position. And there are some interesting guard names out there. And I'm going to start with the guy that would probably be the prize of the bunch of guys that I'm outlining. And it's Zion Johnson, guard from the Chargers. Loved him coming out of college from Boston College, was a relatively high draft pick. If you're going to spend money on a guard, he's the type of guy that you want to do it. Going into a second contract, has played very well for the Chargers at that guard position. I think that's but he's only if they're willing to spend some good money because he's going to get good money.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if they're gonna. I said that, but then I really thought about it, and it's like I think they're just gonna spend mid-tier money on a guard that's young and work him into the dynamic because I think you rock Jalen Sundell again.
All right, you want to spend some mid-tier money, maybe a former first round pick who might have dealt with injuries last year and a little bit the year before. You want to take a lottery ticket? Elijah Vera Tucker,
Yeah,
right? He's a guy that's coming off some injury concerns and didn't really play. It didn't play at all last year. So a guy that has a high ceiling, but it's the availability, right? You still have
Jets, right?
if you can go and get one of these guards, I think that you say, Anthony Bradford, it's great that you were here, but we will take any draft pick for you in this upcoming draft. I don't care what round it is,
I don't.
we'll take it.
Is wasn't this the end? This was year three. No, he was a third round draft pick. He doesn't get the fourth year.
No, he's still on this team.
Ugh. I thought this was year. I thought this was contract year.
Nope. One more.
Yeah, I
So
definitely think I don't know if because you didn't see Christian Haynes play at all last year.
not much.
That's not a good look.
Nope. But what could be an ultimate good look, and the Seahawks exceeded expectations in McDonald's first year, obviously exceeded them. And I think they're poised with a pretty young core
Mm,
to really be in a good position for a while. You could find a guy that is looking to go after a championship that might be willing to come on a discount, a guy from a franchise that is not necessarily synonymous with winning.
mhm.
Joel Bitonio, guard from the
Oh,
Cleveland Browns. If
oh,
he wants to take a discount to go after a championship, the Seahawks should have him on speed dial.
oh, arguably the best available.
Older, but
Older, but he is so good. It's not even it's like when you look at the Eagles O line, right? When they had their juggernaut with Jason Kelsey at center. Like all of those dudes were so good, but also Joe Batonio doesn't miss games.
exactly. The availability is huge. He's savvy in both aspects of the game. Like,
If you're gonna go spend big money, that's where you're gonna go
no, you
spend
don't
big money.
spend big money. It's you're looking for a discount. If he wants to come play for you and he's
Yeah,
willing to take a little bit below what he should take, he's
I'll
been paid before, right? Like he's got his
sure.
money. Like if he wants to go get that title, that's you look at how many years
Oh
with the Patriots did you see people chiming in like I'll take that deep discount to go try and get that title with Bill and Tom, right?
yeah, I mean that would just make my whole entire free agency right there. Because
I figured I'd save him for last
you
in the
you
offensive
would
line.
you would solidify it so much in all the knowledge he could pass down along with it. Oh my gosh. That's a good one. I like that.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to the interior defensive line where we believe
So good.
the Seahawks do not need to go address that at all.
So good because I have dudes that are like Brandon Peely, right? I could see
He's a free agent.
oh I wouldn't be surprised if they bring it back.
He's not going to cost a lot, but you're not going to tender him to get $3 million a year. You're probably going to try and get him back closer to the minimum that you can pay him.
Sure,
But
but excellent special teamer. I think you could put him in on a rotation as well.
true.
Sorry.
All right, IDL's edge. Boye Mafia, I think, is going to get paid more than the Seahawks are going to be willing to pay.
And
There were also some rumors earlier this week that DeMarcus Lawrence might be contemplating retirement.
I mean I haven't seen it, but you know,
Saw something. I don't think it seemed like he had a lot of juice left, but if that's the case. And you look at what Seahawks did at the combine, they talked to a lot of edge guys. So I think when you look at the edge position, Seahawks, I think, are looking to bring in 1 to 2 guys.
yeah, I think it's fair.
All
I
right.
think
Do you have any guys that you want to highlight, or do you want me to just jump into my list
I
and
mean, do
discuss?
you have the high end pick on there or no?
Let's start off here. First guy I've got is Arnold Ebiketie from the Falcons. Was a guy that Schneider really liked coming into that draft year. He's a guy that I kind of liked as well. And you really saw the Falcons this year get after the quarterback, unlike they have in the past. And Ebiketie was a part of that. He wasn't the biggest part, right? It was James Pierce because he loves wilding out on and off the field, as we saw this offseason, right? But Arnold Ebiketie, I think, is a guy in the mold of a Boye Mafe that's not going to have necessarily the hype that Boye has around the league. So I think that you can get him at a little bit of a discount.
I do have a quick question that is on the team, real quick. Do you think that they're going to extend Mop or not Mafe, Derek Hall?
I think that if they do, it's going to be at some point during next season. I think they want to see more. You've seen that jump up, but you also saw him deal with injuries, and you didn't see him take that next step forward. Uh, as far as you, I think you would have liked.
I just like the juice that the guy brings.
Agreed, but I think that's why you don't see Mafe coming back is because the on-field production wasn't as high as it was in year past. So I think you kind of want to see that from Hall because
Mm.
this year dipped a little bit slightly. I mean, let's call it on par because first year injury riddled, showed some flashes, a little bit more consistency this year, but I want to see it for another year.
It is also tough because they had such a good rotation, but then Uchenna Nwosu was as good as he was, along with Demarcus Lawrence.
Well, and you throw in Mike Morris finally being on the field
Oh,
too. Like he throws in a little bit of splash too. But
dude, Mike Morris was so good this year, too.
I mean, if you want to jump back in the well of going to get a guy that has had good success in the league, does not have a title, Joey Bosa is a guy that went title searching. He still had 5.5 sacks last year.
I can't trust Joey Bosa all for like how many seasons has he actually fully played?
He's played 14 games each of the last 2 seasons.
It's the injury concern for me, man. It's either he can miss a couple games or he misses the entire year.
Agreed. Plus, it would be fun to have
Joey
one
going
Bosa here.
against,
One,
yeah, I mean, that would be funny and awesome,
no, it wouldn't be funny. It'd be fun, just fun.
but I just can't trust the body on him as good as he is, right? Like, or was. I just can't trust the body.
And then I've
Sorry.
got one more name, and if you look at John Schneider and what he's done in the past, he wanted Leonard Williams in the past. Took him a little while, but he ended up getting his man and was a key piece to this defense. There's another guy that John Snyder's gone after a couple of times, and I think that now might be the time to go call up your boy Clint Kubiak and say, "You don't like defensive players. You're an offensive guy. We'll go ahead and take Max Crosby off
I
your
mean,
hands."
I wasn't I've been talking about it and I think it might happen for sure, but I was also thinking the Vikings guy that might get released.
Grenard.
Yeah. Like if they want to go spend some money, like yeah, give
Well,
me that.
well, Grenard, they're looking to trade him, but I would say that you go after Max Crosby. By
Oh,
all accounts,
100%.
you want to talk. He's a guy that's still in his prime. He's a
Yeah.
guy that has bled for the Raiders
Since
and,
day one.
and just standing on his shield, right? And he's said for years, like even last year, nope, I want to be here. And this year, he's like, I think it's time for a change. I need to get out. And
Well, it's, they're doing all this stuff. And I think sitting him the last couple games really left a sour taste in his mouth. Like, this is a competitor through and through, right? He wants to compete. Give him to us. Yeah, I'd love it. I've
I
been
mean,
talking about it since the end of the year.
it's going to cost some capital, but you are getting a true difference maker, and especially when you look at your mainstays on the defensive line, right? Chenowusu, injury concerns, getting a little bit older. Marcus Lawrence, also older. Leonard Williams is a big cat. He's an older guy too. And you, Jaron Reed, another guy in that realm. But you do have some fun young guys, right? Byron Murphy, stud. We already talked about Hall. You could throw in
Riley Mills.
Riley Mills, had a fun play in the Super Bowl. Mike Morris, but you want to have someone that can take hold and really push
And it'd give you
this,
like 15 sacks a year.
well, and really be that next guy along the defensive line
Oh, dude,
for years to come.
I think him and Mike would just click. Oh,
100%, dude. That's why I
oh,
think that they would be a match made in heaven.
he'd have the energy that Spoon and Nick give off. Like, I think just it's a match made in heaven.
Plus, if you trade for him, the Raiders would still be on the cap for the dead money this year. So your contract obligations to pay him this year are a lot less.
Yeah,
So you're going to look and see them extending Spoon and JSN, which is not going to be cheap, right?
yeah.
So that's why we're kind of curtailing some of this, because the Hawks are a team that are in the top 7 of cap space, but
I,
you got to allocate that to some of your young guys that are proven Pro Bowlers.
yeah, I've been talking Max Crosby to the Hawks for a hot minute.
All right, let's go to the linebacker room. Think that they only need one, and I think that you bring back Drake Thomas. I think that
100%.
I don't think that he's gonna get top dollar. I think that he fits well within the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks want to bring him back. Instead of just getting that 1 year, 3 million, I could see them looking at a 2 year deal, probably in the realm of like 5 million for 2 years, 2.5, be a little bit less than the average of that three. I think it's like 3.5 for the uh original round tender, with him being an undrafted free agent, comes
Mm-hmm.
at 1 year, 3.5. I do think that they look and get him back on a multi-year deal.
Okay, I think it's the smartest move. He took the job from Tyrese Knight, even though Tyrese Knight was banged up. He kept the job after he was healthy.
Well, and I think that you get Tyrese Knight. I think that he'll get a little bit more playtime too. Like
I think
he's
so.
good. He's a good baller.
It's year three. Like he had some big plays this year, and I think he's got way more in the tank. So I think you run it back with the linebacker room you have.
Now we get to the fun part. It's cornerback. So you've got 2 year cornerbacks that are going in free agency. It's Reek Woolen and it is Josh Jobe. And saw some reports that Reek is about 17. I think he'll get north of that, especially when you saw his play get pretty good. I mean, yes, did he have a bonehead play in the NFC Championship game? Sure. But since the midpoint of this year, dude was on fire. He was locked down, and I think that he's going to get paid. I think that Josh Jobe is more likely to come back
Yes.
because it he knows the scheme. He's already done well under Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald kind of pulled him out of the rubble pile, and he's been very solid for this team, and probably is coming off his best game of his career for the Super Bowl. It was the best game I ever saw him play,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
I think that you bring him back for sure.
Yes, I agree. I know we were talking a couple names before.
Well,
Um,
the one I'll bring up, it's Kobe Durant. I think that he would probably slot on this team a little bit more on the inside, guarding the slot, which allows Spoon to go outside with Job all the time. You could still run Eman Wari as your maven, right? And your base
yeah,
nickel. And you had concerns with Kobe because of how
I
much trash he
just,
talked.
I just, I'm not a fan, dude. Like the animosity between the Seahawks and the Rams is so real. Like I do not like that team. I do not like anybody on that team. I'm good.
Well, as I said before the podcast, if you can't beat them, join them.
Sure, but I'm good.
I do think that with this free agency class, there are some names out there, not a lot of household names. And there's probably some guys. Well, I think I named a couple that I've never heard of coming from like the Giants and the Jags. But unless you're willing to spend some pretty good dollar, which if we're being honest, the Seahawks have never really done in the modern era. The big dollars that they've spent are to their in-house talent type guys, and you're going to see that with Spoon. I don't think they're going to hand out the biggest of contracts to that. I think this is poised to look at the draft primarily, where I would say this is a very solid corner class this year.
Yeah, and they've talked to a lot of them at the combine. I threw out a name before we started, and you know the name, I don't, but it's
Cisse.
the kid out of South Carolina. I mean,
I think it's Brandon Cisse.
that's like team up with him and Nick, watch him just go crazy. But yeah, I think they'll supplement it through the draft.
Yeah, I think so
Like
too.
you're gonna see that, and like if they don't get a, I think they'll get a DN in free agency, but like they will draft one at some point.
It's tough because they don't have a lot of capital. So I think they are going to have to make some moves. And there's probably going to be some guys that they target that are a little bit more under the radar to us that aren't household names. Obviously,
Hmm.
you've got full scouting departments and you're not just scouting the college ranks, you're scouting the NFL for guys that you want to have on your team potentially,
Hmm.
right? There's going to be those guys like a Uchenna Nwosu, right? That we sat there, we're like, oh, we're giving some okay money to a guy that, backed up Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack
Yeah,
had one okay season. Now we're giving him some good money. What I know, Pete Carroll loved USC, and he's a former USC guy, but it was kind of a head scratcher. And then his first year, you're like, oh yeah, no, he's a baller.
yeah, yeah.
So, uh, but then the last position group that we'll go over is the safety room. Kobe Bryant, pending
I
free agent.
I
I think you
I,
could get him back. I don't
I
think
hope
he's going to
so.
be super expensive.
I hope so. I love Kobe Bryant, dude. Like I know that we tried to get him as a slot corner. Didn't work out very well in the cornerback room. Mike gets him at safety, and he just goes crazy, man. Like the play we got out of Kobe Bryant the last 2 years was outstanding. And
Well, and you get Ty Okada back for another year, the other restricted free agent they're bringing
yep.
back. So you could see them look to potentially save some money here. I think Kobe Bryant is going to be one of the higher safety guys. There's a handful of guys ahead of him, like a Jaquan Brisker, I think is going to make a little bit more money.
Mhm.
But there's a guy that I think will get paid less than him that I think he was a second round pick, uh, got traded to the Jets, but in 5 years, he had 8 picks, 15 pass breakups from the safety position. And doing that's going to be, he's versatile, but you can still play him at that higher safety, keep Julian Love as your strong, and have E Man work in the middle, right? And it's
Mhm.
Andre Cisco.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
it's an interesting name, a guy that can be a ball hawk, could be a little bit in that Rayshon Jenkins mold where you get a guy that has had some success, maybe not the everyday name, plays all right for you, but ends up losing the spot, gets banged up, and then Kobe Bryant just flourishes, right? You could see them look at a Cisco being a little bit more established guy over Ty Okada, and then potentially seeing Ty Okada just take the starting job and never look back.
I mean, dude, Tyler kind of played like a baller last year.
Yeah. I mean, so
At least you gotta get depth. You have to get depth there.
And when we get closer to the draft, the Seahawks are probably going to make some moves. There's going to be some draft capital getting flown around here in the upcoming weeks leading up to the draft and even during that. So we'll dive into the draft a little bit when we get closer to the end of April, right? But they're going to have to make some moves in free agency. They do have some big positions of need that they need to fill. And I don't think they could just bring everybody back because some of those, when you have a deeper run, when you have that Super Bowl shine, it raises the price tag, and it puts the Seahawks at a spot where they've got to be smart. They got to keep this thing rolling. And one thing we know about John Schneider, since he took over this team, the Seahawks are competitive, right? They're in the playoffs, sometimes making deeper playoff runs or just barely missing the playoffs. They're not a team that sits down at the bottom and just drafts early and drafts early and drafts early and then boom, here we go, here's the pop. He gets
Mhm.
creative and does it in multiple ways. So um, this is going to be a big offseason for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what would really juice us up during the off season is a few more follows over on social media. You can find me, your boy, Coach Red, on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
Find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. False. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.